Gojira Prime with another video, and today I want to go over some of the images that have come out in regard to the new Transformers 1 film, and also just give my thoughts on the trailer. But first of all, as always, I do have a Facebook page, Gojira Prime, where I do post images of the figures in my collection, links to any videos I do, and anything else I find of interest. So if you do have the time, do please find the page, hit like, hit subscribe, and do please feel free to comment on anything that I do post. So, this week, Thursday, I believe it was, the Transformers Prime trailer arrived. I've watched it a few times now, a couple of times with my daughter. And I've had a look at various comments on Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of people don't seem to like this particular version of the Transformers. Myself, I didn't mind it. I mean, it's not what I was expecting, if I'm brutally honest here. I mean, when they announced they were doing Transformers 1 and it was a prequel to Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts and the other live-action films, I was expecting something that looked like the first 5 minutes of Bumblebee. I certainly wasn't expecting this. So it was a bit of a surprise, and it's very different from what I was expecting. Now, I think it's safe to say that this film, it can't really be counted as a prequel to the other films that we've had since 2007. This is clearly a standalone film in its own right. This is a relaunch, a reboot of the Transformers for the cinema, which is perfectly fine. I'm quite happy with that. The vibe I got from this trailer was very Guardians of the Galaxy-like, in that we have people who are brought together and they end up fighting a common threat, and get set on the paths that we will take them to become the characters that we ultimately know. Now, I don't hate the trailer. I actually quite enjoyed the trailer. I think the biggest problem here is here that a lot of people were expecting what I said before, which was a film based on the first 5 minutes or so of Bumblebee, which, don't get me wrong, would have been great, but this clearly is not going to be that. Now, this film is clearly not aimed at the adult collector like myself. This is aimed at kids. This is a kids animated movie. So I'm not, although I'm a little bit disappointed that we're not getting like a Bumblebee prequel. Like I said, I showed this film trailer to my daughter. She loved it. She really enjoyed it. So I think with kids, this will be a hit. I think this will be an end of summer film that will do very well with kids. In regard to the trailer itself, the storyline that I seem to get from the trailer is that Orion and D16, Megatron, are part of the worker caste, the lower caste of Cybertronians, I'll say, because they don't have T-Cogs. They then go out into the wilderness of Cybertron, the surface of the planet, which you're not supposed to do, apparently. For whatever reasons, I'm guessing Orion lands them in a lot of trouble here. It seems to me that Orion here is very different from past versions of Orion. Orion in G1 was youthful, optimistic, naive, which is what got him into so much trouble. Orion in the aligned continuity was a archivist, very serious, very interested in politics, changing society, and Orion in the IDW comics was a police officer, again very serious, but ultimately very interested in changing how society functioned through peaceful ways. This version of Orion seems to be a combination of Star-Lord and Thor from the MCU. That's the best way I can do it. Now, I know he is voiced by Chris Hemsworth, who obviously played Thor, but it does seem to me that it is a combination of those two characters. He's adventurous, he's a risk taker, he's a rule breaker. So he does seem to be very different from past versions of Orion that we've had. But he'll end up becoming the character of Optimus Prime. Megatron, who's not yet called Megatron, in the trailer for this, we'll actually learn that it's Megatron who gave B-127 the nickname B. That's a bit different. That's not happened before. Megatron in this is not looking to change society. He's merely looking to get by in society. He is an individual who has accepted his place in life and is just trying to get by, like many of us just do, I think, really, in real life. But this film obviously starts him on his journey to becoming the Megatron we know. The ruler of the Decepticons, the individual who is wanting to conquer Cybertron and enforce his vision of the future. So it's a very different take on that character to a certain degree, because Megatron has always been like a driving force for change in society, especially in modern-day version of Transformers. Now, they didn't show a lot in regard to Elita 1 in this trailer, aside from the fact that she seems to be the one who has the greatest control of her transforming abilities at the start of the film, when they are given their TCOGs. But I'm guessing she's probably like the middle ground between Orion and Megatron. And then we have Bumblebee, who again is a member of the worker caste, and he's basically just very, very goofy, very, very silly. It's clearly not the Bumblebee from the previous iterations we've had in the movies. So this is what leads me more and more to think that this is a complete reboot of the franchise. And I think it should be treated really as a complete reboot of the franchise, which I think, quite frankly, would be a very good thing. We do also see in the trailer, and you have to look really, really quickly, and you have to freeze frame this a lot. Excuse me. And I'm not going to do it because my laptop is very old and won't really be able to do it. But in the trailer, we see Starscream, we see Sentinel Prime, and we see a lot of Quintessons. I'm guessing they're Quintessons. We see their ships. We see what I think are Sharkticons. We see a judge. I think it's a judge. The big, massive tentacled thing, which is basically holding up Sentinel Prime. The vibe I got from the trailer is that the Quintessons essentially control Cybertron, and that Sentinel Prime is an enforcer, or maybe some sort of an enforcer for them in the film. And Orion, D16, B-127, and Elita, as they are at this point in time, start a rebellion against them, and we see how that goes. Overall, I have to admit, I did like the trailer. What I really liked as well was the depiction of Cybertron itself as a planet. While you see all the big mega cities and energon mines that we all know from previous versions of Cybertron, we actually got to see the surface of Cybertron, which is changing and shifting and moving, which was really, really cool to see. We also see some of the wildlife on Cybertron, this like antelope-like creature, which I thought was pretty interesting as well. And there also do seem to be ruins on the surface of the planet also. So again, it looked really good. Now, I know a lot of people are not pleased with what we're getting here, but ultimately, it's a kid's film. Transformers is a children's franchise, and Hasbro, I think, are going to treat it like this. We adults have our back catalogue of stuff to go over. We also have the Legacy Generations Universe Classic / line also to entertain us as well. This has been made for kids, to sell toys to kids. And like I say, I think this will do very well, depending on what the budget is for the film, obviously. And I think this will do well as an end of summer film. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this. I'm not going to diss the film before I've even had a chance to see it. And we've only had one trailer so far. We have also had some toy images come through, which you can find on various sites now, like Transformers, TFW 2005, Cybertron.com. We've got... Now, the toys obviously is where there is going to be even more contention because of the quality control issues. We've had here a general release Optimus Prime. So what have we got here? So for those unaware, Transformers 1 Toyline will be split between Studio Series and its own main line, and we can see how the toys differ between lines since we have images of Optimus Prime from both lines. Several fans are preferring the mainline deluxe version called Prime Changes rather than the Studio Series Deluxe. In all fairness, if you're doing an Optimus Prime figure, it should be a Voyager class. The mainline Deluxe is also $5 cheaper. You can see them below. We also see Alpha Trion, who has a very similar deco to BotCon's Alpha Trizer, which itself was based on the cancelled BotCon Alpha Trion, making this toy come full circle. So let's have a look. So this is the mainline Optimus Prime figure we're going to be getting. Doesn't look too bad for a kid's dealer. I'll tell you this, I think it looks a hell of a lot better than the stuff from Transformers Earthspark. That's just my opinion on this one. I do wish the Energon Axe, though, was yellow instead of blue. I know that's been a complaint about the Studio Series figure as well, that the Energon Axe is blue, not yellow. But hey, bit of paint, problems are all solved. And then we have Alpha Trion next to Optimus Prime. Now, with Alpha Trion, they have gone with an animal mode for this particular version of the character, so that's interesting. You can see him there in his horned wolf mode. I have to admit, I quite like the robot mode. I don't know why they've gone with an animal mode, but it's something a bit different. I mean, in all fairness, Alpha Trion has never really had a vehicle mode. I know that in the last couple of recent versions of toys, there's been one in Cyberverse, he had a jet mode, I think it was, and the more recent Legacy 2-pack, he was a repaint of Scourge. So I know they're giving him a vehicle mode in that sense, but the original Alpha Trion from the G1 days never did have an alternate mode. But I do like the robot mode, and I have to admit, I liked Lawrence Fishburne's voice slightly altered in the trailer as well for this, so that was quite good. And that's the original BotCon toy that they're referring down there too. Now, while I think the Alpha Trion and the Optimus Prime toy here are okay, we then have these oversized bot things, flip changes. They're like $15. I have seen other pictures. There's a Starscream one, a Megatron one, an Optimus one, and this Bumblebee one. These do look terrible, it has to be said. They're very, very basic figures, and my God, does this Bumblebee need some form of stickers or decals on it or something. It's just so bland. So bland. So these, I think, people will probably miss, I think, more than likely. We then have this fella holding a Optimus Prime mask, and yes, it does transform into a robot figure. Again, I'm not a particular fan of these. I like the idea of the gimmick, but I think this is just going to be a very poor quality toy, ultimately, on this one. And there he is wearing the Optimus Prime mask there. And then we have the Studio Series figure here. The axe on this one is more translucent than the previous one. That's the vehicle mode. It does seem to be more detailed, I think, than the mainline figure. Oh yeah, for those of you who are interested as well, there is a Masterpiece Movie Brawl coming out at some point as well. We actually have some prices down here as well. So let's see. So Transformers Studio Series Deluxe, Transformers 1 Prime. That's going to be $25. The masks are, Jesus, the masks are $35 each? That's a lot. The Mega Changes, which is the Bumblebee I showed you, that's $15. They're going to be 11 inches tall. And the Transformers 1 Prime Changes are $20. And they are going to be 5-inch figures. Simple conversion, perfect for Transformers fans 6 and up. Which, in all fairness, is what you want for a kids line. I mean, I would not buy my kid the masks or these big changer things. If my daughter Lily wanted the toys from this, which I don't know if she will, I'd probably get her these ones. If they have got very simple forms of transformation, but they do look quite well articulated, actually, as well. It has to be said. So yeah, I like the trailer. I actually quite like the design, something a bit different. I hope I'm treating this as a complete reboot for the franchise, quite frankly, which I think is something Hasbro needs to do going forward with any movie incarnation. But overall, I think it looks good. Hopefully, it's going to be a success. Kids hopefully are going to enjoy this. I think I'm going to enjoy this when I take my daughter to see it later in the year. But let me know what you think in the comments section. Is this a hit for you? Is this a miss? Is it Marmite? You know, like it or hate it. One of the two. But let me know in the comments section. And thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video. And have a very nice day.